You're listening to the Ask Drone U podcast. You ask, we answer your drone questions. Whether you're here to turn your passion into profit or you simply fly for fun, we're a community of learners and teachers who aspire to achieve greatness. We are
Drone U.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another awesome episode of Ask Drone U. My name is Paul, and today we're going to be talking about insurance. Where should you get insurance? Can you really afford a $1,000 policy? What if you've got multiple drones? How are you going to afford a, say, $3,000 or $4,000 policy? Well, it seems like there's a short-term solution to that problem. So today we're very happy, excited to have the very awesome Jay Bregman on the show from VERIFLY. Jay, welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Paul. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. No, I really appreciate you coming on the show and kind of explaining what VERIFLY is all about. So if you just want to get it kicked off with letting us know literally what is VERIFLY and in quick summary, how does it work?
Sure. VERIFLY delivers on-demand drone insurance for commercial and recreational users. And the way that works is it's via an app. It's available on the App Store and on Google Play. You open the app, it draws a quarter-mile radius around you, soon to be an option for a half mile. That's your coverage area. It then computes a price based on the risks in that area. It's an hourly price starting at $10 an hour. And then if you like that, you put in your credit card details. There's no application process, and poof, you've got a $1 million drone liability insurance policy from a top-tier aviation insurer with $10,000 of invasion of privacy cover.
Invasion of privacy coverage. Wow, that's interesting. So now, does the price point kind of start off based on what drone you're flying? So if you're flying, say, a Phantom 4 versus an Inspire 1 or an Inspire 1 Pro, or, hey, let's say I bust out my M600, is that going to change the price?
So the policy works with any drone under 15 pounds, the use of any drone under 15 pounds. So all of those would be the same price. It's really the environment that changes the price. Now, most, 3 out of 4 or more of the policies that we arrange are at the base rate, the $10 an hour rate. But there are some things like schools, like stadia, like airports, etc., that raise the risk, and therefore they raise the price slightly.
So schools, you said airports. Is there any other type of factors that would be variables in that algorithm for kind of figuring out risk?
Yeah, so there's a couple other objects, but in addition to that, there's wind. So wind over a certain speed with the higher price. It's very rare. Most people don't fly on those speeds, but it is in there. But it's basically anything in the environment that you would see as a pilot and your client would see as somebody requesting insurance, that it was reasonable that the price was a little higher for that particular job.
Awesome. All right, now here come the tough questions. I hope you're ready. One of our
easy questions.
Easy questions. One of our Drone U members, his name is Xavier, and he flies for Sony Studios. And one of the questions that he had is, what about airspace? Because, with the new Part 107, we've kind of got some, we're still kind of figuring out the whole waiver process, because you can get, an initial, hey, you have permission to fly in Class Delta, or where we go through the COA or the COW process, where we're getting, kind of a blanket, hey, you can fly in this airspace in certain areas at certain times. So let me ask you this. How does it work in restricted airspaces in Class E, Class D, C? I mean, how does that work?
So basically, we built VERIFLY to turbocharge the small business, of any drone pilot. And so with regard to airspace, we want to make it so that you can fly in any airspace and you can get insurance in any airspace in which you're authorized to do so. Obviously, as of Part 107, there were some unexpected but positive changes in the way that happened. So currently, the way VERIFLY works is that there are small exclusion zones around things like airports, in the various airspaces that basically will not allow you to purchase insurance, but that is all changing. So we are currently building a system whereby if you have authorization, be it by virtue of Part 107 or by virtue of having a waiver, for example, a particular BCDE airspace, airport, or night is another thing that we have pricing for already that we're going to be rolling out, then you'll be able to purchase policies that extend into night and purchase policies that are in any airspace except for the DC TFR, which we understand is not waivable anyway.
Gotcha. That's really interesting. It seems like you guys are really moving fast and kind of advancing this. So you said exclusion zones. So right now, what does an exclusion zone look like? Is it like 2-3 miles out? Do you have any idea on just how big those areas are?
So it's variable based on the size of airports. So most airports in the United States are obviously small, and at least half to 3/4 of them, and so they are small. We don't have I don't remember the exact radius, but but they're designed to cover the runways and not much more. And then they get a little bit bigger as the airport gets bigger. But be that as it may, these things are all going to be are going to go away if you have, and you say to us that you have an authorization to fly in those areas.
Gotcha. One particular question I have, just recently I was flying the World Series of Wake Surfing in Florida, and I got permission to fly in Delta airspace like last minute. Now, I've had the same policy for probably 2 or 3 years now with Global Aerospace. I'm sure you're familiar with them. And I got a verbal permission for Class Delta. Is that something, if I wanted to use VERIFLY, would I have to call in to VERIFLY, or how would I be able to prove that, hey, I got airspace permission, but I didn't get it in writing, I got it via verbal?
Well, that's a really great case, and there are all kinds of different cases like that, where they've gotten it in writing from at the last minute. There's no way that we or anybody could be a certification authority, and that's not what we're trying to do. So basically, we've spun it around the other way and said, look, it's on your honor to say that you have the right authorization as you go and purchase in that airspace. All I would say is, obviously everybody should tell the truth on their insurance application. But yeah, we believe that pilots will, correctly state that.
Well, I think it would be really important to tell the truth too, because let's say you didn't get permission to fly in that airspace, you flew in the airspace, you hit somebody, and then you lied to the insurance, so you're not going to be covered. I mean, let's be honest, you guys are going to figure it out long term or short term, whether the person lied or not, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I can't speak for what the insurance company will do. Every case is different. All I can say is, if you're purchasing insurance for yourself or for a client, you should be honest in everything that you say on the insurance application.
So is VERIFLY like a medium between the insurance provider itself and the authorized pilot, pretty much? It's just a way to break down expensive policies to by-the-minute demand?
Yeah, so I mean, look, the way that we view ourselves is that the traditional year-long policies that are tied to specific drones, so if you want to cover all your drones, you have to cover many, have many policies, are really, something that is not a good fit for many commercial pilots, in the U.S. and in the world right now. We wanted to create a system that was specific to drones and the capabilities of drones, and also to the risk of drones. And that meant a policy that was more episodic, that was about, getting insurance when you need it. In most cases, people are purchasing our insurance on the commercial side. What they're also doing is, because the clients request it, they're then submitting their policy or their policy certificate to the client and attaching it to their invoice and saying, look, I'm line iteming this, $10 or $15 of insurance spend because you asked for it, and it's very clear from this, the picture that's on the certificate, that it was for that particular job and not just one of my many jobs throughout the year. So the fact is that many of our pilots are actually having a situation where in many cases they are not paying for the insurance at all because they're able to effectively pass that on to the client. That's something you just can't do with a year-long policy.
No, that's a good point. And you bring up another really good point. A lot of the shows that I've worked on for the Discovery Channel, the Science Channel, and NBC is another big one. They all require a certificate of insurance. So for me, before I go out to the job, I've got to call my insurance agent and say, hey, NBC under Fine Line Productions, LLC out of California, you know how it works. I need that certificate of insurance, and sometimes it takes a few days to get that. So let me ask you this. Through VERIFLY, is it possible to get additional certificates of insured? And then is it possible to get that certificate of insurance prior to the shoot date? Or is that something that you open the app, you buy your policy, you get the certificate of insured, and you hand it over to the client?
Well, so there's a couple of different questions there. One is, with regard to adding additional people to the insured portion of the policy, that's something you can do by the company field in your profile,
Cool.
And that will adjust in real time and then appear on the policy. What our pilots do today is they get to the job site, they buy the policy, and they email the certificate to the client. We actually have that in part of the workflow. But what we are doing is we understand that some clients would like to see something before, and so we are having a pre-purchase certificate that basically you get when you sign up for VERIFLY that explains what it is and explains that it will be activated at the job site. And then even going one step further, based on some feedback we had, we are currently speccing out a system where you can purchase in advance. So basically, weeks in advance, if you want to buy for a particular place at a particular time for a particular job, you'll be able to do that as if it was today.
That's awesome. You guys have really thought this through. I love it. I really am happy about a lot of the things I've heard. And before we started the show, I told you about another Drone U student who had emailed you guys a bunch of questions. And it seems like you have already made changes based on these questions, and you've already discussed one of them, which is the quarter-mile radius from wherever you are located in that restriction. And you say, coming soon, it's going to be, a half mile. Is that restricted to your starting position? So if I am, let's say I'm doing a houseboat commercial and I start in one bay of the lake and I've got to go to the other bay of the lake, but I'm moving a couple miles right in that linear position, but I'm never more than a quarter mile from the remote itself. Is that, I know I'm asking you the most obscure questions ever, and I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but people want to know this stuff,
They're very good questions. I mean, the first things first is that we recognized, even before we started, that there were going to be a multitude of use cases, and we were going to need to have a lot of flexibility in terms of the limit. So right now we have $1 million. We're adding a $2.5 million limit option. We have options that are at a half-mile radius that you're going to be able to select pretty soon. And also, we're adding the ability for you to purchase multiple policies at the same time. What does that mean? You could purchase 2 policies for each side of the bay and then basically have them running concurrently or overlapping one another in terms of time. And that way you could satisfy that. Now, long term, we are thinking about like the follow me case, like the guy on a bike, with a kind of Maverick behind them, and how we could have a circle of protection that could follow that. It's a little bit more complicated. That will take some time, but that's kind of what we're thinking as drones become more powerful. And the use cases become, a little bit more clear.
Gotcha. Another question, do any of the policies, and I'm not even sure my policy covers this. In fact, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say I'm pretty sure it does not cover this. But one of the questions that came from the community is, do the policies cover any medical coverage? So let's say you hit somebody, they got to go to the hospital for a day. Is there any coverage like that in the policies?
So there currently is not, although actually we do have the capability to do that for an additional fee. That hasn't been something that's been very demanded by the customers, but if people really want that, by all means, let us know, and we'll figure out a way to start adding that in.
No, I think you guys have been really receptive to the drone community as a whole, and that's why I'm really excited to have this conversation, this interview with you, because I think you guys are doing a really good job. So I guess the question is when do the new points and options become available? And if anyone has any questions, where can they go for more information on VERIFLY?
Great. So first of all, for more information on VERIFLY, you can go to verifly.com, where the best thing to do is to download the app from either the App Store or Google Play. As regards the new developments, the one that we're working on right now, actually I'm going to have a meeting about it right after this call, is the additional half-mile option, the $2.5 million limit, and the 4 and 8 hour packs of time. So basically, instead of having to hit the button every hour, you'll be able to have a 4 or an 8 hour policy that will cover you for that particular area. So that we're looking at, weeks to be able to get out. The airspace update we're probably going to do in batches, but we're hoping to get everything out by the end of the year.
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. Guys, if you have questions, check out verifly.com. And again, thank you, Jay. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This is great. Great to be here. Bye-bye.
I'll see you later. Having Jay on the show is honestly pretty enlightening to me because I've been hearing a lot of restrictions on the app and people having difficulty using the app. But like I said in the interview, there have been people who have reached out to VERIFLY to see how can they make this process easier. Now, for you to understand, VERIFLY is simply an intermediary between the insurance company and yourself. It does provide that hourly, cheap way to buy insurance, but there are limitations. Like one of the things we didn't talk about is the fact that there's no hull insurance. So if you crash your drone for whatever reason, they're not going to pay for the drone to be replaced. This is really liability-only insurance. Now, to answer the question, Part 107 does not require you to have insurance, but any businessman will tell you if you operate for commercial purposes and you don't have insurance, you're literally leaving yourself open to claim after claim after claim. I mean, it could ruin your business. It could even take your personal and family assets. Do you want that to happen? Probably not. That's probably not very good. But what VERIFLY does do is provide you with a peace of mind. So if you're flying and you forgot to get insurance or you're last minute, you want to take care of something, you can open up the app on your phone, pull up VERIFLY, and get the insurance you require. Now, currently there is a 1/4 mile limit on how far you can fly from yourself. They are changing that, as you heard from Jay himself, and that's really cool. They're also adding many other stipulations, like being able to get clearance in restricted airspace, which for me has been an issue to say, okay, well, there's no insurance here, so I'm glad that I'm not counting on this. When those new features do go into place with VERIFLY, this app will hopefully open the door for many operators to actually get insurance. I know insurance is a big issue for a lot of you, and I hope that this solves the problem. Now, if you have questions, go to askdroneyou.com and upload them. Also, if you have questions about this particular interview, if you have questions about VERIFLY itself, please let us know in the comments below. Send us an email, support@thedroneyou.com. Or simply state your question at askdroneyou.com. For all of you that are members and that see all of our new cool content, and for all of you that get to see and have passed the Part 107, congratulations. If this podcast, our class, or the membership has ever helped you, please give us a review or share on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, guys, I hope this podcast really provided some information for you. You now know the restrictions. You now know what it really provides. The fact that this app does give you certificates of insurance is really awesome. I love the fact that you actually have quite a bit of flexibility, and they've really thought through this. So if you don't already have an insurance policy, VERIFLY might be the way to go for you. If you're just getting started, you haven't purchased that big insurance policy yet, or you can't afford it, or you're in between insurance policies, this really could be the answer for you. Again, let me know what you think of the app, and I'll talk to you guys later. That's going to do it for us today. My name is Paul. This is Ask Drone U.